Hungary currently holds the rotating EU presidency, and one of its main priorities is a better integration of the Roma community in Europe. But it hasn't been showing such good example as of late. Just last weekend, Jobbik, the right-wing political party, staged an anti-gypsy protest in a rural village in Hungary. And funny, just today, the European Commissioner for Justice, Viviane Reding, and the European Commissioner for Employment, Laszlo Andor, are presenting their long-anticipated framework on a better integration of EU Roma. So joining me here today to discuss this in more detail is Matthias Verhelst from the European Roma Grassroots Organisation network here in Brussels. You dedicate every day to making the world a better place for the Roma community in Europe. So tell me, what's your first reaction to this framework?
Well, thank you very much. Indeed we do. And with the European Roma Policy Coalition that my organization is a member of, we've been long advocating for a stronger reaction at European level to tackle the discrimination and exclusion of Roma across Europe. And there is indeed a contrast, as you mentioned, between the proposal that came out today and what really needs to be done. And it's very well illustrated by these incidents in Hungary.
And today's proposal is interesting because it actually tells member states by the end of 2011 they must present a report to the European Union on their activities as regards integrating Roma and as well on what they're doing with the funding. Because there's been 26.5 billion euros allocated to Roma in different projects between the 5 years of 2007 and 2013. But how effective, Matthias, do you think that is?
Well, the money is available, and this is one of the problems. The money is there from the structural funding. It's there for the member states to use, but very little of it actually trickles down to projects for Roma. And this has in different member states, has various reasons why this doesn't happen. So hopefully, and this is really a step forward from the Commission to ask all member states to have a dedicated strategy and a targeted approach to tackle the issues that Roma citizens face. So hopefully this will lead to more effective national strategies. But there are so many open questions that the Commission really would need to tackle. How are they going to make sure? I don't think this is the good way to go.
Now, many people say that Spain, for example, is a good example of integrating Roma properly. They have a good program called Acceder, which is like access, and it really provides access to Roma community, to healthcare, to better education, to training, and then the workplace, which is the huge problem with Roma here. So when can you envisage a kind of an EU pan-European kind of Acceder?
Well, Acceder is a best practice that many member states ought to follow, and I think the success of the Acceder program really comes down to the commitment of the Spanish government to have an integrated approach to tackle the different dimensions of the exclusion of Roma. So not only their lack of education or discrimination in the workplace, but also really to help the people and to acknowledge that there is so much anti-Roma sentiment about. If you want to encourage Roma children to go to school, you also have to talk to the parents. They have done that in Spain very well.
Because Viviane Reding said today that 10% of Roma children don't just 10% go to secondary school.
Yeah, but you also have to investigate a little bit what the causes are of that. Of course, there's some kind of distrust between many Roma communities and majority populations. Also, distrust between communities and administrations, and you have to tackle that.
Yeah, let's talk about that mistrust. How can we tackle that? Have you any suggestions from your organisation?
Well, you can't really legislate social sentiments, but anti-Roma sentiment across Europe is so strong that if you don't start to tackle that right now, this will continue in the years to come to negatively affect any social inclusion projects and programs. These are inextricably linked. The discrimination against Roma and the fact that they face poverty, that they face socio-economic exclusion, that they can't participate in decision-making or in other political fora. You can't really disentangle them, so you have to address those together. You can't change that overnight, but if you don't start to invest in that now, in awareness raising, that will never change.
Because Eurobarometer surveys say that 8 in 10 Europeans are anti-Roma. Have you found that in your daily work?
We have found that. Don't pin me down on the 80%, I don't know, but opinion surveys really show that anti-Roma sentiment is very strong. It's so normal for people across Europe to have negative prejudices against Roma. You can have young, well-educated people who have, well-considered opinions on anything from foreign policy to social policy, but the moment you start to talk about Roma, it switches.
Well, we want to know what you think about Roma, so please send us here an email at the EUobserver to video@EUobserver.com. And Matthias, thank you very much for coming in to us this morning and discussing the Roma integration in the European Union.
Thank you so much.